Besides web application firewalls, Amazon has many other service offerings that are directly related to security. Not all of them are mandatory for use in a secure environment, but they all can assist in a customer securing their environment and ensuring that their data is protected. We're going to provide an overview of some of the services that are the most popular ones and the most commonly used. The first is not actually a service, but rather the fundamental architecture of Amazon, and that's their VPCs, or virtual private clouds. These are the equivalent of VLANs in a more traditional environment, or if you go way back, they're the equivalent of separate LANs on physical switches. They are designed to isolate network space and to protect customers from each other so that no two customers of Amazon have any chance of interacting on the network, but also to allow a customer to segment their network into multiple security zones and then control access between those zones. We've talked about these in the past, and while they're not a direct security service, they are extremely important. Care must be taken when setting them up, and the routing and control of traffic between VPCs is one of the most fundamental security services that Amazon provides their customers. Another aspect that we're going to talk about here, but it's not a direct security service provided by Amazon, is rather what Amazon allows their customers to do towards security, and that's penetration testing. Amazon allows, with notice, you cannot do this by just surprising them on them. You have to warn Amazon that you're going to. But with notice, they will allow you to perform a penetration test against their hardware and their software and their applications. This allows you to ensure that not only is Amazon secure, because the penetration testing company will probe Amazon for known weaknesses, but also that you don't have a misconfigured item on your network because of a bad configuration file or the lack of an application patch. By allowing penetration testing, Amazon ensures that customers have the ability in order to secure their environment. The first true security service that we're going to be talking about here is Amazon Inspector, and this goes right hand in hand with penetration testing. Inspector is an automated vulnerability and security scan that will detect anything that violates best practices or known application vulnerabilities. For example, if you're missing a Windows patch, Inspector will tell you which Windows patch you are missing, where you could get it, and the implications of not installing it. It requires a great deal of time and effort in order to make it work correctly. You have to install agents on all your systems. You have to configure the rules that Inspector is going to use. You have to have the various known good patterns that Inspector is looking for. Most of them are pre-configured, but if you're trying to run Inspector against one of your custom applications, it may require a significant investment in time in order to set it up, in order to know what the vulnerabilities for that particular application are. However, it's an integrated solution, and it is relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of the other tools out there, and it performs its services well because if you do take the time, you then automate all of your security scans in order to ensure that your systems remain as secure as possible. The next service that we're going to talk about is AWS Shield, and this protects against distributed denial of service attacks. And unfortunately, DDoS attacks are very common. They are growing even more common, and it's gone from just vandalism to include DDoS for corporate sabotage, politically motivated faults, and most companies will have some form of a denial of service attack at some point in time. Shield helps protect you from those DDoS attacks and has two forms. Their standard one is included against everything that Amazon has. It protects against known Layer 3 and Layer 4 attacks. It protects against the most common DDoS attacks. And it's always on. It's controlled by Amazon, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to push any buttons. It's just there. But if that's not sufficient, you can go up to their advanced shield, which will protect you against not only the Layer 2, Layer 3 stuff from standard, but will also include post-attack analysis, custom attack mitigations, and the ability to report on your DDoS attacks to a logging system. And if you do subscribe to their AWS Shield Advanced, you also get the use of your web application firewall for no additional charges. For most companies, standard is going to be good enough. Advanced is designed for those companies that have an extreme web presence or for some other reason are particularly vulnerable or likely to have an advanced denial of service attack. The last system that we're going to be talking about here is Amazon Key Management Service. And this is a very simple repository. It is just a place that Amazon provides where customers can deposit their encryption keys. This sounds basic. Okay, great. It's an encryption key repository. But what this allows is for customers to utilize more keys for individual locations or purposes. So instead of having one key that you use for everything, because you know you won't lose that one key, you can now generate keys for every different use that you have, so that every time you use a key, it is separate from all of your other keys. And by taking advantage of AWS Key Management, you will assure yourself that you will always have those keys available when they are needed. It's very easy to use, and it allows you to use multiple keys, and it is highly recommended that you take advantage of it. So wrapping it all up, we talked about Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, which is the equivalent of VLANs and virtual networking. We talked about their rules and requirements towards penetration testing. And then we talked about 3 Amazon services that are directly related to security: Amazon Inspector, Amazon Shield, and Amazon Key Management Services.